and act accordingly. And the Democrats, therefore, to cover their tracks, they become compulsive liars. It's mind-boggling the kind of lies that they tell. For example, January 6th, they called it an armed insurrection. Then it was they did this with no evidence. Then it was revealed that there were no arms confiscated. So they just called it an insurrection without explaining how you can have an insurrection without arms. And it's obvious that you can't, but the word insurrection is useful to them because they want to portray all opposition, all Republicans and conservatives as traitors. This is so destructive to the fabric of our country that people have a hard time saying it. And one of the things my book does is a final battle, as it explains why the next election could be the last and who these people really are and what they do. Hakeem Jeffries, over January 6th, said that 5 police officers were killed. That's a lie. There were 0 police officers who died during the Capitol protests.
Yeah, one fat cop died of a stroke.
Was killed. The only person killed
was an American patriot.
40-year-old woman.
You're goddamn right, David.
14-year Air Force veteran. Her murder is on tape. She was standing around threatening no one. And a Capitol Police officer named Michael Byrd, who had a history of being trigger happy and actually should not have been on the force for previous violations, shot her in cold blood. And Nancy Pelosi covered it up. She hid his name for months. Then she quashed any investigation and exonerated him. Nancy Pelosi is an accomplice to murder. I don't understand why Republicans are so tongue-tied in dealing with their opponents. The Democrats, they have no shame. They call Republicans racist, white supremacists, and so forth. When they call the Constitution white supremacist, that's to discredit it. That's their radicalism and their criminality. They don't respect our laws. And the language on the Republican side is so lame that I felt it necessary to write this book.
David Horowitz, yeah, thank you so much. I wish we had more time, but folks, David Horowitz, he has been writing many best-selling books, but he says The Final Battle is the most important he's written because there's so much at stake right now. It's already a #1.
Well, we've been in civil war with these bastards for almost 40 years now. And I've been telling people for 40 years, we either get rid of them or they get rid of the country. Pelosi, the Bidens, the Clintons, the Obamas, these are radical, Saul Alinsky, red card carrying communist bastards. All their affiliates in Hollywood, fake book, okay, Google. These are anti-American globalists. And America stands like a bulwark against international communism. When Kennedy was assassinated the week before, Texas Christian men stood up holding banners that said, U.S., not United Nations, not UN. And they threw rocks at limp-wristed Adlai Stevenson. And the libtards like Walter Crankcase Cronkite conflated that into conservatives killing JFK, when it was one of their own Marxists, Lee Harvey Oswald. He was a Marxist. He was in Russia. He married a Russian woman. He hated America, went around, hand out pamphlets, hands off Cuba. So they had to conflate a whole story based on a few nitwits that threw rocks. And they contorted that with perversion into the right-wingers killed Kennedy. Right-wingers do not make assassins. Left-wingers are always assassins because they are inherent anarchists. And they only want laws that they can dictate. As long as they're at the top of the pyramid, they love law. As long as they're the ones giving the remands and commands. They want everyone else to be their slaves. They are inherent tyrants, and they need to be dispatched. And once they co-opted the IRS, the media, and the FBI, this republic is hanging by a thread, and David Horowitz is dead right. He grew up in a communist household. His mother and father were devotees of the left wing, as was David until he had his epiphany. People in this country are so ignorant about what the stakes are. The Bidens, the Pelosi's, these people should be running for their lives. Not running for office, they should be running for their lives.